Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got the Polk Audio S15 that we're going to review. I bought these off of Facebook Marketplace for about 125 bucks used, so I'm pumped to have them here. I've always wanted to get my hands on them because if I'm being completely honest, I've never owned a pair of Polk Audio speakers, and they're kind of like the American hi-fi brand, like Polk Audio, Klipsch. These companies have been around for so long, and I just wanted to check out their stuff. I thought this was a good looking speaker, so we got it here. I'm going to take you through the specs, some pros, some cons, the treble, the mids, the bass, some listening impressions, and then we'll wrap it up, okay? I'm starving, so I'm going to try to make this quick because I have food waiting for me after this. So they got a frequency response of 50 hertz to 40 kilohertz, a 1-inch Terylene tweeter, 5¼ inch polypropylene woofer. The height, width, and depth is 12 inches by 7.5 by 10.25. They weigh 13 pounds each. They have a keyhole mount on the back. They're 8 ohm, 88 decibels sensitive, good for 100 watts, have 5-way binding posts. They come in black or walnut, and right now they are about $172 on websites like Crutchfield, which are authorized dealers, and I believe you have a 30 to 60 day in-home trial, something like that. So, the treble. These are on the brighter side, no doubt. They're not incredibly revealing or textured though. And it just is what it is, right? Some people will say this is a lively speaker, a fun speaker. That's not incorrect. That's another way of saying they're on the brighter side of neutral. It just is what it is. These are going to be best for people who prefer a livelier presentation. The mids can be recessed or veiled with certain music, but they're not muddy or have like a big V curve by any means, right? Then moving on to the bass, they're rhythmic, fast, tight, and responsive. The 50 hertz that they quote that they can go down to, if they're saying it's 50 hertz with room gain, then I'll say yes, that's accurate. If they're saying their frequency response goes down to 50 hertz plus or minus 3 dB without room gain, personally, I don't believe that. That's just my experience in my room. What else do we have here? These have a bit of technology on them. It's called the power port. I'll show it to you. It's on the back of the speaker, right? And what this is it's essentially a piece of plastic that extends the port length. I experimented with removing it to see what that would do, and this is what I noticed for what it's worth. If you like a little bit of mid-bass bloat, removing the power port gives you that. However, it is at the expense of a little bit of low-end extension. So the longer port gives you the little bit more low-end extension. What else do we have here? I don't know if this is because of the power port or not. I think it is, but the position of the speaker in relation to your front wall does not affect bass output, which I found very strange because I own a lot of speakers. I've had a lot of speakers here, and the closer you move them to this front wall, the more bass you get. And you know, of course, many times, you know, you get too close, it's bloated, it's muddy, it doesn't sound good, but closer to the wall, you have more bass. Further away from the wall, you have less bass, but it's cleaner and tighter and so on. If you're in a situation where you're kind of forced to put these up against a wall, you're not going to have that increased bass nor bloated bass, or it's going to be okay. So I thought that was kind of cool and worth mentioning. Like most bookshelf speakers, they are going to need a subwoofer if you want full range sound and full range bass. It just kind of is what it is, you know. That's a $200 speaker without a sale, essentially. It can only do so much, you know. So let's go over some pros and cons. So pros, this is without a doubt the best looking vinyl wrap I've ever seen on a speaker, okay? It is really, really good looking. The camera doesn't do it justice, pictures don't do it justice. It's one of those things you have to see in person to really appreciate. I appreciate the hell out of that. I'm a huge fan of a real wood veneer. At this price point, I can definitely forgive a vinyl finish though, and this looks great. I like how the look of the speaker can go from mild with the grill on, very normal looking, traditional, to super just wild and aggressive and in your face without the grill. They're two totally different kinds of looks, and it's nice to have the option of flavor in my opinion. The fit and finish was excellent. They sound good at low volumes. Bass, rhythm, and articulation are very good, not bloated nor too punchy, and the power port allows for flexible placement. Moving on to the cons, the forward sound without being revealing or giving you more detail was a bit of a letdown. I understand that at this price point, I can't expect any kind of like real detail retrieval or micro detail, macro detail, whatever you want to call it. But when a speaker is on the brighter side, my brain naturally expects more detail, and it not being there did bother me a little bit. The only other con I listed is they could be fatiguing at louder volumes. For me, louder volumes on this speaker meant over 70 decibels, which isn't that loud. Now, a note on things like fatigue or being bright, these things really are personal to some degree. Now, I think a lot of us can agree certain speakers are bright, certain speakers aren't, but at some point, it really depends on your hearing. A lot of audiophiles like to believe they've got the golden ear and they've got perfect hearing and fail to realize as you get older, your hearing just diminishes, just like your eyesight does. It just happens, right? So I believe if you're a little bit older, you might not think these are that bright. You might find them to be neutral. Or if you're young and you've gone to a ton of concerts and really destroyed your ears, you might find these to be neutral, and a speaker that I feel is neutral, you might think is totally dull. Now, you might be wondering, how do I know my ears aren't damaged? Or, how do I know I have good hearing? Well, I know I have good hearing because my whole life I've really, really worked on protecting my hearing. My grandparents growing up were deaf. So, like hearing is something I always valued a lot. And I really did my best to like take care of. Even when I listen to like loud music in my car, I never listen to more than one song at a time at loud volumes, because hearing damage has to do with the decibel level and over time how long you do it. Typically over 4 minutes or so is when it starts to become damaging at a certain decibel. Anyways, I digress. I don't have the best hearing in the world, but it's good. I've had it tested, blah, blah, blah. Believe me or don't, I don't care. Impressions. So at 65 to 70 decibels, they sounded best for me. Any louder and I started to become fatigued or didn't really enjoy the presentation as much. Bass quantity was okay. The Emotiva B1 Plus sounded more natural with fuller bass, but the Polk S15 had more rhythm. Now, I reviewed the Emotiva Airmotive B1 Plus about a month ago now. I still have them here because of coronavirus. I can't really send them back just yet. I will send them back as soon as I can. Yeah, that's my little comparison there. I will be reviewing the PSB P3 soon, which is another speaker that's in the $200 category. And once I'm done with that, I'll do a little trio comparison, because I'll probably still have the Emotiva Airmotive B1 Pluses here. I'll definitely still have these here because I bought these. And I'll definitely have the PSB P3s because I bought those too. Anyways, moving on. Ultimately, these were not a good fit for me. I didn't find myself wanting to leave them on the stands the same way I did with the Emotiva Airmotive B1s. When the review for those were done, I left them on the stands for about a month, I believe. I just continued to enjoy them, and that wasn't the case for these. And I think the Emotiva B1 Plus is just overall, I don't want to sit here and say it's a better speaker. For me, it's a better speaker though. It just is. If we look at it like food, for example, the flavor is something I enjoyed a whole lot more, right? The performance of it is just more suited to me. Another thing, I might get some crap for saying this, but these, to me, were kind of like a poor man's Dynaudio M10. So if you've always wanted that speaker or you've got your eye on it and it's just way out of your budget, check these out. And the reason I say these are a poor man's Dynaudio M10 is because a lot of the things I didn't like about the Dynaudio M10, this has. Now, those things I don't like might be things you love. So try to let go of me not liking them. I'm not the end all be all. I just noticed a lot of similarities between the two speakers. Now, the Dynaudio M10 is a lot more expensive and it's a lot better of a speaker. It's a lot more refined. It has better bass, more detail retrieval, and so on. But I felt like there was some similarities. What else do we have here? We have nothing. That wraps it up. Let me sit here and think if there's anything else I want to add. It's a good looking speaker. It really is. I dig it. I think they killed it with the polished black here, and they use Allen keys up here for like all the screw holes. Just fit and finish really is good. Yeah, look guys, that wraps it up. There's not a whole lot else to say. So if you have any questions, ask them in the comments below. If you disagree with me, that's cool too. And one last thing, if you already own these speakers and you came and watched this review because you're looking for some confirmation that you made the right decision, don't do that. That's not a good thing to do. After you buy something, stop looking at reviews and just enjoy your gear, honestly. I do that too sometimes, and it's not a good thing. It's not a good habit to have. So I'm sorry if I couldn't confirm that I like them also and give you that validation. But if you have them and you like them, that's all that matters. Because at the end of the day, the reason there are so many different speakers is because people are different and have different tastes. If we didn't, there would only be one speaker brand in the world and everyone would buy that speaker. Anyways, thanks for tuning in again, and I hope you guys have a great day. Later.